Hello and welcome back to The Biz. My name is Jim Henry and this is the video series for financial advisors and other people in the financial services industry. Today I want to talk about marketing versus branding. Now I'm sure it's something that, if you're watching this, you're likely an advisor, you've been doing this, talking about this, heard thousands of people talk about marketing and branding. And the way I want to start the conversation is I think sometimes those two terms are confused. Sometimes I'll talk with an advisor and they'll say, yeah, I don't really do a lot of marketing. I get referrals, everything's great. And I say, awesome, good for you. You obviously put yourself in that position. But then I might ask, well, what about branding? And they usually say, well, what do you mean? And I think there's a real difference there. And I think it's important to kind of start with that thought, right? To me, the definition of marketing is trying to find new prospects. Branding is what do they see once they found you? And everyone has a brand. The question is, how much in control of it are you? And I think it's important because let's just go back to that advisor that gets those referrals. Well, my question is always, are you getting the referrals that you really want? Does every referral that here's your name that gets told to talk to you actually call you? Because most of them are probably Googling you, right? They're checking you out on LinkedIn. They're looking at your website. And one of the ways that I've said it to my advisors over time is that have you ever heard about it, a restaurant, or thought about it? If you're like me and my wife, like we sit there and sometimes talk about where do you want to go, where do you want to, and there's always a million ideas until you actually are going to dinner. And then maybe you look up a restaurant that you've been meaning to try, and the last thing you can find online is a Facebook post from 2022. And the question's always like, are they even open? Like, well, maybe we won't go there. And what I'll say to advisors sometimes is don't be the restaurant that hasn't posted in 4 years. So even if you don't want to do a lot of marketing, and maybe I'll push back on that in a minute, it's important, I think, that every advisor controls their brand. Because throughout this series of videos, I've talked about controlling the growth of your business, controlling the direction of your business. Some of that doesn't even necessarily mean, hey, I want our practice to become bigger. Maybe it's to be more efficient. Maybe it's to be more fulfilled in the work you're doing. Maybe it's to have more time for other things in your life and the people in your life. But all those things, I think, are much more likely to be obtained if it's done with some strategy. So I would encourage all of you to control your brand. How do you want to present yourself to the marketplace? I don't think you have to be amazing at it. I think there's a lot of different things you can do. There's a lot of places you can go for help. But these videos that I'm doing, this is branding. Now, you may be saying, hey, buddy, you could do a better job. And guess what? I agree, but at least you're watching and you have an idea of what I can bring to the market. I would encourage you to do the same for your practice. How do you want to present yourself to future prospects, to your existing clients, to the children and grandchildren and heirs of your clients? Because we're talking about that maybe in the next video. It's this $80 trillion wealth transfer. I mean, at some point, do you want to keep those family relationships? Do you want to attract new relationships? And then kind of a bow on top of all of it, as you grow your business and you start talking about enterprise value, it's not just, hey, I'm making enough money, I'm happy. It's ultimately, where does this practice go when you don't work here anymore? Whether it's a succession plan, whether you're passing it to someone in your family or someone you know, are you selling it? Are you selling and staying? There's all these different options, and marketing can help with all of that. So I would encourage you everyone should have a brand. I would encourage everyone to think about, should I do at least some marketing? Now there's so much material out there on marketing. I would tell you, maybe all of it works. If you looked in your LinkedIn inbox, you probably have 10 offers in the last week for someone to help you with marketing. The thing that I would say is I'm not here to tell you which marketing works and which doesn't. I've done a lot of it. I've probably done 1,000 seminars, many of them very, very successful in my life, and many other types of marketing. It can all work. But once again, am I already annoying you? Begin with the end in mind. What are we trying to make this practice look like? What is the math of our practice? How many relationships are we really looking for? What types of relationships? What work do I find the most fulfilling? And then can we target some of those folks and then go after some of them? Let it be known. Maybe it's not ever doing a seminar again. Maybe it's never doing online marketing or doing other things. Probably most of you, if you're watching this, are beyond cold calling. But what if it's just a way to work with other professionals or just to be able to give your existing clients, hey, these are the types of people that we're really having an impact with. Do you know anyone that might be in that boat? And you may not even ask that question anymore, but if you put it out there enough, the question will be asked for you. So once again, I hope this helps. I think there's a lot of things to unpack here. It's all related. How are we going to grow our practice? How are we going to maintain our practice? And then ultimately be able to pass on that practice to someone else to carry our legacy and move on to maybe other fun things in life. So as always, I hope this helps. Would love some feedback from you. We're getting more people subscribing, so feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.